Hi and welcome to the Photoshop shop. Today we're going to show you how to open files and save files and create new files from scratch. So let's go ahead and get started. Once you've opened up Photoshop, you'll want to go to either File, New, Open, Browse in Bridge, Open as a Smart Object. For this, we're going to just go ahead and select New, and we are working in Photoshop CC 2017. Now it will remember the types of documents that you open often, or you can start from scratch and say you're going to print a 6x4 picture. So you can select your inches, put in the width and the height, what orientation, the resolution. I recommend 300 pixels per inch if you are printing it. And if you're going to be using this on the web, on a website or Facebook or Instagram, you can drop that down to 72 pixels per inch and still have a pretty good resolution. I'm going to keep mine at RGB and at 8-bit, and the background I'm going to keep as transparent. Now you can select white, black. You can select a custom color. By selecting the background color, you can double click and pick any color you choose. You can click around. You can put in the code for an RGB or a CMYK or an LAB or an HSB, depending on whatever format you work in. Getting started, you might want to just use your bar and select whichever color, and then you'll just click OK. And there is an advanced options bar. For just starting out, you probably want to just leave these with the presets and just close that back up and go ahead and click create. Now as you can see, all we have created was a blank document that has a colored background. If we were going to save this, we would go up to File, Save As, and then we can save this to our computer wherever we'd like to save that to. For practical purposes for this, I'll just go ahead and save it to my desktop, and I will call it Untitled 1. And I'm going to leave this in a Photoshop format. Whenever you're working in Photoshop, if you think you're going to want to re-edit the document, always save it in Photoshop, and we'll get into more of that later. But the reason is you will save all of the data, all of your layers, which we'll get into later. You'll be able to continue working on it. If you go ahead and change it to a JPEG or a PDF or a PNG, which are in a TIFF, those are all other very popular file formats. Those you cannot continue to edit to the same degree, so I would not recommend that. Always save it to Photoshop until you're 100% done, and then probably a JPEG or a PNG. Those are the two most popular. If we were going to save this, I would save it as Photoshop, and I would just click Save, and if I minimize this, there's my document. So going back into Photoshop, I'm going to go ahead and close this document. We are going to open an existing file. Let's see, I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to select Angels, and I'm going to select Angel 2. So now I can start editing her. And if I want to go ahead and save her, say I'm done, same process, File, Save As, and as you can see, I've already saved this. It is a PSD file because I'm not done editing this particular image. So we'll just go ahead and click Save. Now, since I have already saved it, it's going to ask me, do I want to replace it? Yes, in this particular instance. I haven't made any changes, but if I had and I wanted to replace it with the current version, you would go ahead and hit replace. So you can open a new document, you can open an existing document, you can browse in Bridge, open a smart object, or open a document that you had opened recently. Another thing I want to caution, save your work. As you're working on a file, I recommend saving constantly. Power outages, computer glitches, anything can happen and you don't want to lose your work. So I highly recommend when you're working on an image, save every 5 minutes. I know it sounds excessive, but believe me, you'll be happy. So there you have it. That's how to open a file and save a file in Photoshop, and we'll see you next time at the Photoshop shop.